So that's kind of inspirational. It's like everybody got a goal. They're trying to reach or alive. They're trying to live, man. We bumps in the road. You just gotta keep pushing forward. You know what I'm saying? If it don't kill you, it make you strong. You know what I'm saying? My story right here. It takes a special kind of mind to grind and work from the bottom and climb up the ladder of success in time. It doesn't matter what the test is, every step is another level till I step in as the next in line, no question. I'm considered one of the best, my whole life invested in holding mics and sketching rhymes, you guessed it. I'm on mine, still restless, yes, even pressed up my records on my own dime. As many battles I blew breath in and open mics I blessed. I'll never be labeled an overnight success, passing out CDs, doing shows for free, then jabbing Bo to eat so that my soul could speak over these soulful beats that's so cold to me. Like the breeze in the shower, we be posted deep. All the prices that I paid, the sacrifices I made, it'll all come to life one day, someday. Just be patient, man. Bumps the road ain't nothing. Rotate, nothing stopping us. Check it out, look. I remember it like yesterday, trying to get my record played at a radio station where they play hits for days. Having a conversation with this lady I'm facing while she making a statement made for me. She said, look, it's too many words in your hook. You need to work on your look. For what it's worth, I never took her words personal. But at first I wasn't certain though if she knew my words are personal and not just verses and books until the curtain closes. This is my version of what I know, learning in first person till I blow. And still I know how it feels to know I'm the deal. Did you still feel like a deal is just right, or a deal just might still add to my appeal? But they won't know I'm real till I touch my first million, right? I'ma chill till my bars is felt and play my hand with the cards I'm dealt, and that's the plan till it solves itself. Yeah, everything you want in this world is yours. All you gotta do is claim it, man. Be patient, work hard, man. Don't make it. Yo, it's damn near impossible to shop music without lots of loot to maneuver and make moves with. So I stay in tune with my pursuit. Fuck trying to recoup, I'm trying to juke and move units. The truth is, I'm used to excuses. Dudes give like you can. Do what I do, food and prove it. Walk in my shoes then. I'm used to goofy producers and cools that try to misuse you quick. Why you got it confused? If you think it's about groupie chicks and interviews in a mix, it ain't got ghouly, but I truly got the tools to overcome obstacles, including this music biz. I'ma shine like jewels, unlike these Rubik's Cube dudes with all this woo-woo-woo when they spit. Mick Luda is the future, so get used to this. It's day one, not a crew or clique. It's a new beginning. We out west with it, where we live illegal, leaning off a leader, riding regal, tipping scales like Libras. Inhale, no L's, pulling out blocks like Jenga. In the rear of a Caprice's Billy Rims, flicking decent nonetheless. Nothing less than tens for the speakers. You'll hear us before you see us with beats that beat the streets up. Yeah. So try and keep up and keep it low key, cuz police try and treat us and keep us on a leash, cuz that's how they see us, thinking we nuts. Cuz we'll die for the ground beneath us, because this land made us. This land made of players that stay on paper. That's how we came up amongst the mayhem to the day when we display what we made of. The game could never change us, the West Side teaches. On these streets where you find that D before G. We out west with it, back down, trying to flip a dollar. If you looking, then we got it, you just got up in a block. We out west with it, riding clean, wetter than the sea. On the scene with a full tank, blowing AC. We out west with it, I'm posted, let me know what y'all on. Cause if y'all get on something, then just hit my phone. We out west with it, yes sir. Hustle for every penny in the trenches, but we turn struggle into strength. Smell the grind in the air, take a whiff. Only the nose knows the aroma. Compose the money rolls that fold up, holding cold cups. Searching for those that got the purple O's for the $4. And we can go nuts and stay at the store like grocers, and post up with O's on the table like coasters. That's how the game coached us, made us all in the soldiers. Now that dough is the focus, so know that we own this. Molded by the hood role models, riding good, the latest model, drinking good, raising bottles like we just missed a pothole. You got to know that it's impossible to stop our flow. We've seen it all from watching cops reload 30s a dro while drinking the night away until the block got slow. You'll know as soon as you see us, we the ones laid back in the cut.
That's why we shine wherever we go. 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 Lord, Lord. Welcome to the mind of a pothead. On my head, see a young nigga got dressed. We don't give a fuck what the cop said. I'm living a legacy, so even when I die, I am not dead. Nigga, I am not dead. Fuck with me.
Great afternoon to you wonderful people. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of I Said What I Said. We are live from inside the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios alongside Toussaint Werner. My name is Howard. Each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. we get together right here with you, and we discuss issues that are currently impacting the black community, how those issues impact us as individuals, but also how they impact us as a collective. And along with your help, we talk through many of these issues in hopes of finding the optimum solutions for how we can overcome those issues. Again, we want to overcome them as individuals, but perhaps more importantly, we want to overcome them as a collective. So thank you all so very, very much again for choosing to be a part of this conversation. As always, your input is valued. It is certainly appreciated. Anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to do so. We will read through as many of your comments as possible while we go through the show. We would kindly request that you please take a quick second to share the broadcast. Share it on your personal page. Share it even within your personal network. Absolutely anyone that you think would add value to this conversation or find value in this conversation, we want them to be a part of it, because we truly believe that the more like-minded individuals we can get to be a part of it, the better the opportunities we have of reaching those aforementioned solutions. So please, 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 if you would be so kind, take a quick moment and share the broadcast. Again, this is I Said What I Said. It is intellectual thuggery at its absolute finest on a chilly Wednesday here in Chicago. It snowed yesterday. It was calling for some snow today. Don't like we're going to get that. The sun is out, so it's a little deceiving, but it's still quite chilly, especially for late April. But it is what it is, and we live where we live. Thank y'all so much for tuning in from wherever you are. We certainly hope that you are well. My name is Herb. His name is Two. What's happening, good brother?
What's up, famo? How you?
Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm good, man. I'm happy to be in the studio today. We weren't able to broadcast live on Monday. We were experiencing some technical issues. We've since had those things taken care of, although the cameras are looking oddly positioned and whatever, but I don't know what's going on around this joint. But I'm doing pretty good, man. It's good to be back in here on this Wednesday. Lots of things we need to get into, lots of conversations that we certainly want to have. So it's going to be a really, really jam-packed show. We're gonna have a black business feature coming up around 2:00. We'll have a quick black business feature. That's something that we kind of want to incorporate as we move forward. So we'll do that at 2:00. Obviously, we want to talk about the Derek Chauvin conviction. I was gonna say trial, but the conviction now. What, if anything, that means, what it looks like moving forward. Also, the case of the 16-year-old black girl who was killed by police in Columbus, Ohio. You and I have differing opinions on that. And looking forward to having that conversation as well as the violence that we continue to see in our communities. Whether we're talking about the 7-year-old girl here on the west side who was shot and killed in the McDonald's driveway with her father, or you talk about, Gina was just telling us about a dozen 12-year-olds getting shot at a party down in Louisiana or something like that by another 12-year-old. Like it's all kind of craziness going on. And when you talk about some of the correlations that tend to get made in these conversations, it bothers me. Like, I understand it. I understand why people make these correlations. I understand why people jump to the, how are we going to be mad about the police killing us when we killing us? I understand why you would say that. I get it, right? And but to me, it speaks to a lack of understanding of the overall construct, and you're not getting the total picture, right? Because if you were, in my opinion, you would understand that the very same system that would allow for police to kill black people with immunity is the very same system that leads to the violence that you're talking about when you're talking about black on black crime or us killing each other. But we'll get into that conversation and some other things as we continue to move forward. But again, thank y'all so much for being here, man. You good, man?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm tired, but I'm cool, man. I'm here,
That beats the alternative, my brother.
Yo, but before we even get started, I'm glad Ron just walked in the room, and I want to apologize to Ron directly, right? Ron, I apologize because Friday, when we was last on air, Ron was irritating the fuck out of me, and I told Ron to shut up. And although I meant exactly what I said, but the tone in which I did it was not the proper tone. So I'm going to try to get control of my emotions today. But hands down, I just want to, I want to apologize. That's the man's thing to do. When you was out of body, you cracked yourself.
Yeah, no, I mean, we laugh and joking. It was funny, but you was going hard, and so I'm glad you recognized that and decided to tell Ron, hey,
I appreciate
maybe I was a little out of pocket.
that too.
Yeah, but that's how little brothers get treated.
Yeah,
it wasn't no malice behind it.
Of course
all,
not.
For sure. But
of course not.
I was just irritated.
That was very sweet too.
No, that wasn't sweet.
See? Now tell him to shut up again.
Nigga, you gay.
See? That's why niggas don't apologize.
Fuck it. Next time we're just going to stand up.
Shut the fuck up.
All right. Now that we clear, then fuck it. I just stand on it. You know what I mean?
Nah, I appreciate that.
But I want to talk about this Chauvin trial in response to our jubilation. And it kind of confirms to me that we are fully insane. And I get it. And even listening to the May show this morning, like I heard a lot of people calling in talking about we need to celebrate the small victories. And I'm just confused as to what the fuck is the victory.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It took an entire world. Be clear about that. This George Floyd thing sparked a new kind of energy. It took the entire world to get justice for one man.
For one obvious murder.
For one man. It took the entire world to get justice for one man. During the duration of George Floyd's trial, since the day it started, average per day is 3 people were killed by the police. Out of those 3, out of whatever the total number is, a third of those was black and Hispanics, right? And I'm confused. What was the victory? What's the trade-off? Mm-hmm. What are we in celebrating? Right? I'm still confused. I thought about it from the standpoint of there's never going to be a shift in violent behavior toward an oppressed people until they no longer are oppressed people.
Sure.
It is what it is. Elmer Fudd never stopped hunting Bugs Bunny until Bugs Bunny got the goddamn gun. That's it. There's no other response to this.
The roles don't change. The king stay the king.
There's no other response to this. But it just
Till you go get them.
It just speaks to me the level of cowardice that we operate in And I know this is harsh because it is a moment where we are celebrating and think that we've accomplished something. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm arrogant. Maybe I'm all the way gone. Maybe I'm just tired of the bullshit. But I can't think of any gains that we've made in our community, any viable gains. Like as I study the history of our people in America, I can't think of any viable gains. My children today, I live in fear of them coming home from violent acts.
Sure.
Right? Now that violence that I'm in fear of, if I'm being bluntly honest, it happens in my community. But I'm aware enough to know that the violence that happens in my community is because of behavior that's attached to white supremacy.
Absolutely.
It's our disdain or lack of understanding of how white supremacy works. Right? So we still suffer under the same kind of fears. We still suffer under the same kind of degradation. We've not made any advancements economically. We've not made any advancements socially. Somebody called in the mazes today and said, "Well, man, we got a house. We got houses." That was a conversation this morning.
Right.
That we have houses.
Right.
Don't be confused. Slaves had living quarters too. Do not be confused about that.
Absolutely.
Right? And just like at the slave plantation, the living quarters for the slaves were set aside in certain specific areas, just like the houses are for black people in this Chicago or in any other community you go to. It's funny, man. You know, we talk about the South Side and the West Side all the time. I just want y'all to put your mind to it and ask yourselves how many times you talk to black people from other places and they somehow always live on the South Side. Does that seem weird to you? I don't give a fuck where they at. Even if they're in Iowa, the black people is on the South Side of the city. That's because it's a damn design. Those are the same slave quarters. Wherever the resources aren't is where you are. Period. Right? And I don't want to shit on the parade because I know that's the energy.
I think that it really stems from the fact that we have this misconception or whatever. Like, clearly everybody can do math, right? But for whatever reason, we tend to treat, slavery itself as though it were fucking eons ago, right? And that's just not the case, right? When you're talking about, 150 years, like we're not talking about so long ago to where you wouldn't still see not only like leftover remnants of it, but the actual system still in place in many different aspects of our society. You talk about the Great Migration, like north and shit. Well, where do those people land? You know what I'm saying? What type of communities did they land in? And then how has that changed much since we got there? And in many places like Chicago, it hasn't. And so wherever black people kind of landed when they got here, it's pretty much where we are now. You know what I'm saying? Sans a couple examples, but it's widely unchanged. And so, this idea that we kind of treated like it was so long ago and it's the old thing, to me, it only makes sense that we still see these systems in place, and therefore you still feel the effects of said systems. It's just is what it is. And, I don't know how we get to a space where we can understand that more clearly. I think that is why we absolutely quote Neely Fuller so often, and why we talk about, until you fully understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else you think will only confuse you. I think that is a very, very real thing, because I think that we've kind of gotten away from, like, for whatever reason. I think the trauma is one reason, right? We kind of just want to escape that shit and believe like it's not a real thing no more, but it is, and it's going to show up. It's going to show up in your face continually, until you decide to deal with that. That's just going to be what it is. And we haven't dealt with it, not internally and not externally.
Trauma or not, it's here. Right? Trauma or not, right? When we start, so I was out in the streets when they announced that the verdict was going to be read. Right? I'm in the bank handling some business, and I'm sitting down with a personal banker, and I get the alert that they're about to read the verdict at 3:30 or whatever it is, between 3:30 and 5 or whatever the numbers was. I don't remember verbatim. But let's say I had about 30 minutes before that 30-minute marker, that 3:30 marker. Right? And I told the bank, I said, they finna read the verdict. You know, she was like, oh my God.
Get the fuck out.
She was like, we have to hurry this up so we can get you out of here. You should get home fast. I said, I'm cool.
I'm cool. You should get home. Y'all should close this fucking bank.
I'm cool regardless. Right? This is my area. I've lived here all my life. And I'm on the west side. I ain't talking about but Chicago, I just consider this is home.
It's the crib
So
for sure.
I'm not afraid to be amongst my people at no level. And I don't really give a damn what's going on. So don't rush on the account of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But she was hyperventilating. She was so damn scared. You know what I mean? And she legitimately rushed me about it. I was out of there about 3:29. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she didn't finish what she had to do for me. She was like, just call me when you get home. We'll talk through it.
She wasn't talking about you, bro.
Yeah.
She wasn't talking about your safety for getting home.
I'm clear. Right? But it just spoke volumes to me. And then on the way home, I'm listening to NPR and my phone is blowing up. Like, what you think it is? Matter of fact, man, I got a call from a friend of mine that said, hey, man, do you know anywhere where they're having like a Derek Chauvin watch party to watch the verdict?
A watch party.
A watch party to watch the verdict.
Dig that.
And I said, what?
A watch party.
And then she doubled down and was like, yeah, because the news channels is calling me and they want to go interview black people. But they don't want to be in anywhere that they might feel like they can't get out of.
Then get the fuck on.
But outside of all of that, just the whole shit was insane to me. A watch party around a verdict of a dead man is insane, right? The news cameras angling to see how the savages react is insane. I want to see the safe savages too. To even ask that speaks volumes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the fact that they called a sister who was actually trying to organize it for them.
Oh, yeah.
Bruh, I'm confused.
It's insane, G. But everybody's fucking insane. You know what I'm saying?
And I say that in love because the sister they called me, I love her. Hands
Yeah.
down, no question about it.
Yeah.
Right? But this shit is insane. Like, we don't think of the severity of the experience that we're having as black people.
No, we don't.
Right? And because we are so lullabied into this cowardice ass behavior, any slight win looks like a victory to us that we champion and cheer. Like, that's why Kamala Harris is the fucking vice president. Because we're confused about our stature and status. When that movie Exterminate the Brutes came to HBO the other day, and I see this as a topic of conversation throughout the lexicon. Everybody and their mama's talking about Exterminate the Brutes. And they talk about it because it paints white people in a light that I think that most of us don't recognize that white people should be painted in. But it's the truth of white people. All you got to do to know this is open one or two books, and you'd have already known that.
This is how they've always behaved.
This is just who they are. Right? But when I think about the how amazing this is to us and how mystified we are by these conversations, I realize that we really don't know. And I don't understand how we don't really know. When our sheer existence is because of that brutality.
Sir, it is a comfortable lie that we prefer over an uncomfortable truth. That's it. It's more comfortable. That is it, G. And like I think we'd rather live in shit than work a shovel. Like, it just is what it is. And until we like decide that I don't want to live in shit no more, fam, and I don't want to have nobody, pour syrup on it and call it pancakes. Like, this, it's shit, and I don't want to be in it no more.
Man, it bothers me, bro.
It should.
We got an addiction to victimhood.
It should. It absolutely should bother you. And I told you from once they indicted him, and once the trial started, I'll say, and I started to see what witnesses they were calling and what those witnesses were saying, specifically the police chief, specifically the medical examiner. I was like, yeah, I think they're gonna let his ass go ahead and go up the road, right? And I said I don't think they're gonna save him because it's just too much. It's too much to save him. He ain't work. If they could, they absolutely would. Be clear. If they could, they absolutely would.
But the world
responded because the world saw it, and you can't explain this by, a split second bad decision, even in the same way that they would try to explain Jason Van Dyke. Right? You can't, you did this for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, dog. you can't really explain this away. At no point in 9 minutes did you be like, maybe I shouldn't fucking choke this dude to death. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't really, it's a different thing. And so I knew that he probably wouldn't be able to get off. And we still gotta wait for sentencing. Like, I'm clear about that piece too. We still gotta wait for sentencing. I think the judge is gonna do that. And we gotta wait for that. And I think they talking about 8 weeks or some shit like that.
Yeah, but you know my take on this since it started has been I hope he gets off.
Yeah, I know you do.
I've not backed down from that statement one time, and, and I'm gonna keep saying that. Like yesterday, my homie called me and said, "Let's go out for drinks." Right, and I'm maybe it's me. This ain't that. This ain't a celebration.
Oh, like to celebrate.
This is just not that.
What the fuck did we win?
It's just not a celebration. But I got to thinking about this, man, and the reason I wanted him to not get locked up is because I want us to respond.
I know.
Right? And I want us to respond in a way that we start to understand that our true polarity on this planet is as gods, right? And as long as you are subservient to another human being, you can never fully be your true God self. And if we're being honest, we are a subservient community to the white community, which is a direct reflection of why we're cheering and clapping, because we deem or think that they have some authority over our livelihood that we don't have, that we don't hold. Right? We really believe that. Now, we could write it off however we want to write it off. But the truth is, when that man was kneeling on that man's neck with his hands in his pocket and 85 fucking witnesses was standing there and no one had the gall to just shove his ass off of him. No one had the gall to do so.
No one was willing to put themselves.
Because you understand your position in this construct.
Exactly.
You understand me?
Exactly.
A dog will fuck a human up. But you can beat the shit out of a dog long enough and he won't never fuck with you. You understand? When a dog lives in your house and you feed him and he understands that, he'll bite every motherfucker that come through that yard. But you,
I'm sorry,
cool.
I'm sorry. Did you see the video of the FedEx lady? Like, she's ready.
Yeah, I saw it.
She's ready to risk it all, jump off a second floor balcony because this dog walked out on the porch with her G.
I saw it. But it's the same thing that dogs have been conditioned. You know what I mean? Dogs have been conditioned. Dogs and hyenas are the same lineage. A group of hyenas will fuck a lion up.
Yeah, wolves, all that
shit.
Yeah.
Right? But they've been housebroken. They've been conditioned. They've been broken to be house pets. We've been broken too. And then when I look at the shorties, though, the last of this gene pool, the lineage of this gene pool right now, and it reverberates as crazy in our fucking community. But I don't know if they crazy, bro. I really don't know if they crazy. I just think they've come to a point in their mind, or in the trajectory, where we ain't taking this shit no more from nobody. And even though it resonates against the dude on the next corner, it's being birthed out of an energy of, I'm not fucking going no more.
You know what it is? What my personal opinion, anyway, what I think it is, even more so than I ain't going for the system, I don't even think they understand the system in that way. What I think they understand full well is that they ain't fucking in it. I think they understand full well
that they fully grasp it either. But
there are no prospects for them within it.
Yeah.
And so if I ain't in it, then fuck it. I'm just
then
I'm on borrowed time anyway. So I'm do whatever the fuck I want.
Then motherfuck it.
Right. I'm gonna end up dead or in jail regardless.
Yeah, but that's the real answer anyway. Motherfuck it.
Right. No, I get you.
Motherfuck it.
You know
But because the leaders of our community, us, the elders, ain't offering them shit else, they're acting out in the way that they are.
No, because we want them to assimilate. We want them to peacefully assimilate into whiteness.
But assimilate into what, right? And that becomes the question, because we ain't even
The shit that we ain't found yet.
That's the point I'm making. We not even assimilated into whiteness.
Right.
What the fuck is it that you are offering a shorty?
Nothing. But we want them
Nothing.
we want them to calm
And you
down.
want them to embrace your same level of nothingness.
Your same
Man,
level of
fuck
cowardness. Right? And be clear, 100% clear, their way of exercising this or demonstrating this or expressing themselves completely the fuck off base. They fucking wild and they cowards too, right? But they've understood at least that this system here ain't fucking for me. I don't have a place within it, and so fuck it, right? And that part is cool. Now you got to harness that in a much more productive and effective way than they're using it. But I think that at the base level, they understand that I don't really have no place in this shit. Whereas the rest of us kind of walk around still feeling like No, I got a place in white America. No, the fuck you don't. Okay?
I don't want to paint with a broad brush though, right? And I don't want to paint with a broad brush about either side of that spectrum, right? There's some elders I absolutely love with doing respect, right? I'd be a flat out lie to say that Beach ain't meant the world to me. My daddy ain't meant the world to me. That I don't respect King Salim.
Of course,
I'd be a flat out lie to say those things. But when I look at the full board though,
right?
The percentage of those kind of men,
the collective
that I've had access to, and I know that I've lived in a blessed experience to have access to those kind of men. I know they're not the norm. And when I look at the shorties though, even though I don't agree with you in the sense that they cowards, I think the energy is misguided than a motherfucker.
I think they hoes.
I think their energy is misguided than a motherfucker, but I'm not necessarily sure if they cowards, you know. And I agree with you 100% that they don't fully understand or grasp the perspective of how the system is debilitating them and creating the behaviors that they're responding to.
All right.
But I think that sense of lack and that creates that world of having less than nothing to hope for creates an energy of I'm not going.
That part they understand. If they understood it in totality, and again, this is not their responsibility or their fault, right? They certainly aren't going to get it in school. So if we don't give it to them as their big brothers, their fathers, their uncles, their grandparents, whomever, right? They aren't going to get it. So I'm not laying this blame on them. All I'm saying is they get it at the root level of I'm not included here. If they got it in totality, they would not be so complicit in their own demise. Is all I'm saying.
Man, I was watching like a recap of the trial before they announced the verdict. And some reporter asked somebody who was involved in the trial, I don't know what position that person was playing in the trial, and they said, what do you think was the biggest turning point of this trial? And you know what the response was?
Was it the police chief or the ME?
I don't know who the person was. The Dante Wright shooting.
That's cap. I don't believe that.
No. I don't think it's cap at all. I don't think it's cap at all. But I want you to understand the energy and why that makes sense, though.
I don't believe it. But go ahead. I'm listening, though.
I don't think it's cap at all.
Okay.
I think the fact that man got shot 20 minutes away from where they was having the trial of the fucking century because the whole world was paying attention.
Thought it re-sparked the energy?
It changes shit, right? But just think about the levity of this, though.
Okay.
The world is responding. The world. Not motherfucking Minnesota. The world is paying. This trial was on terrestrial TV every day that it's been on, right? The world was responding or paying attention to this situation. And not 20 minutes away, another young brother gets killed, right? Now, here we are. What's that, a week ago that he got killed? Here we are, the day of the verdict, and a young sister gets killed, right? And we're in Jubilee as if we don't know that the boy got killed 20 minutes away.
Right.
Where's the victory, bro? And then we having this conversation, we're having a debate of whether or not the sister that called the police yesterday and got killed, was that valid? We're having a debate, was it valid that Dante Wright or White, or I'm sorry, I can't even fucking keep up with the names
Dante
no more.
Wright.
If Dante Wright was validated. We keep having these conversations. And even the fact that we have these conversations, in my mind, speaks to the level of implicit bias that affects our own decision making.
Okay. Well, I get that. And I am seemingly, and I haven't even chose to really have this conversation with anybody. I mentioned it to you before the show. Because if people want to find a reason to send it up with the system, I'm here for it. But I watched the video. I watched the video of Makia or Micaiah. I don't want to mispronounce it. I think it's Makia Bryant. I watched the video of her being killed by that police officer. And when I initially heard the story, I was outraged. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right as the verdict is coming in, y'all kill a 16-year-old girl. But I watched the video, and I don't know that I personally can say that, yeah, that is completely unjustified shooting. I don't feel that way. I do not feel that way. I don't know if y'all have seen the video. I have the video. I'll send it to you. We can show it if you want. But when I watched the video of the body cam footage from the officer who fired those fatal shots, I can't sit here and say that, like, I think that, you know, he acted completely unjustly. Now, what do I think that if she was white, she would have died? No. But I don't think those things have to be the same thing, right? Like, he would have been justified in killing the white girl, but I don't think he was unjustified in killing the black girl either, right? You pull up to this scene, it's chaotic as fuck. Motherfuckers are fighting all over the place. She comes tumbling down, fighting with somebody right in front of his feet, and she gets up with a knife and charges at a girl that is pinned up against a car and clearly about to be stabbed by this girl. Like, I got the picture, I got the still shot of that shit too. Clearly about to be stabbed by this girl. As a police officer who's supposed to be out here protecting people, how do I watch her stab this girl? I don't know. I don't know what he was supposed to do in that instance. Again, I agree that if she were white, she probably would not have been shot.
And that's the answer. What justice? Do they have a different justice system than we do?
If she was white, it would have still been justified.
But it wouldn't have happened.
Probably not.
So I'm asking you, is there a different law for white people?
Law? No. It still would have been justified.
But it wouldn't have happened, though. Let's not fuck the justified part. You said out your mouth.
Probably not.
If it was a white,
Probably
if it was
not.
a group of white children, just a bunch of them fighting like that was.
Probably not.
Right? So do they have a different law? What law are we responding to? And if we gonna acknowledge that we think on one hand it wouldn't have happened here, but we can accept it happening here, then what we have to also acknowledge is then we got to accept that same implicit bias that we allow to harness in our soul.
What I am accepting is a very clear reality. Okay?
But stop it though. Listen to what you just said. What
Sure.
I'm accepting is a very clear reality. I'm not denying that it's reality. But in accepting that reality, what you also accept is the subservity of being a second-class citizen, as being an oppressed person. There's no justification. There's no justification.
No.
There's no justification if it wouldn't play out the same across the board.
I feel like just saying that if it was white, it wouldn't have happened makes it unjustified just in that fact. This is you saying
Okay,
that.
that's not true. I understand the connection y'all trying to make. It doesn't make it true, right? I don't think that if she were white, they would have shot her. I don't think so. That he would have shot her. I think he would have found another way to de-escalate that situation. He would have fired a warning shot in the air. I don't know what he would have done. I don't think that she would have got killed out there.
So let's follow your line of thinking. Why?
Because she was white.
Why? I mean, just that.
Just because she was white.
So he would have still wanted to what? Break the shit up, right?
Yes.
So he would have found another option, right?
I think
Because
so.
why?
Because she was white. I just
Because
said
he
that.
values that differently.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed.
Okay. So that young sister doesn't deserve that value?
Two. You're missing my. You're making the connection that
I'm
not.
just asking questions, bro.
Answer that question.
Yes, she does.
So
Yes, like-
then how do we say that is a justification then?
I'm listen. The shooting itself is justified. If she were purple, it would be justified. If she were white, would it have happened? No. They have a level of privilege that nobody else has. I acknowledge that they have a level of privilege that nobody else has. That doesn't mean I'm saying that I wish he would have shot the black girl, or I'm glad, or none of that shit. But I certainly understand that white privilege exists in this country. And if y'all don't understand that, then y'all can make it like, Herb is
I don't think that's the argument
whatever.
we're
Herb is
making, though.
pro-black 100%. Herb is with the shit.
I'm
okay?
honestly just saying
But-
I don't believe that any color.
But if
I
y'all-
don't believe their shooting was justified in any race. It had
Have you seen the video?
Yes, and I've watched just from watching the video. I don't care what color you are. Like you said, you could be purple, blue, green.
What was it? So should he have let her stab the girl that was pinned up on the car?
He should have used a different method of stopping her. That's all.
Oh, okay, cool. Because the stabbing was imminent. The steel frame shows her with a knife this close to the other girl about to put it
It
in
also
her.
shows that he's already has a gun drawn instead of something else. He could have had something else drawn when pulling up,
Sir.
when getting out.
Sir, I don't know if you've ever been around a fucking melee or walked up on some wild shit.
I haven't, but I know when the police are called, they let you know if there's a firearm at the scene before you arrive.
How the fuck do I even know that?
Most of the time, it's in the call.
How do I even know? I don't care what, there's a melee going on. I don't know who has what. Okay? The girl who had the knife is the one who made the phone call. She was the one about to stab somebody.
So let me tell you this, though.
Like, I get what y'all saying. I understand it.
But here's the whole scene, though. Herb.
Like,
Here's the whole scene, though. She called the police because it was 4 girls there to whoop her ass.
mm-hmm.
Right? Context, man. 15 years old, my older cousin Mel used to whoop the shit out of me all the time. It was a hobby for him. It was sport for him.
Mm-hmm.
One day I decided, you ain't whooping my ass no more.
Right.
You ain't whooping my ass no more.
Period.
So me went and got a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, in that moment, I probably would have killed Ramel. But the difference in my strength and Ramel's strength was Ramel didn't even let me kill Ramel.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to assume a motherfucker that's been trained through this process could control a little girl who called him because of her fucking fear.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not how they respond to us, because all of us are just wild fucking savages. So any level of force is justifiable.
Well,
always.
He could have tackled her before she got to the second girl. It was the first girl.
Well, let's play the video then.
I've seen the video. I don't even want to see that shit because right now for me this shit is like trauma porn. I'm sick of this shit. I don't want to see it personally.
Okay, fine. I get it, right? And I understand the emotions of it, and I understand he could have done this, he could have done that. That shit happened in like 20 seconds. He pulls up and a bunch of fucking people
you're supposed to be
fighting.
trained for that.
Trained to do what?
Make a split second decision.
He did make a split
second
decision.
The right one, though.
And the right one was to not let that girl get stabbed. That was the right decision.
Not the method, though.
Okay.
The wrong method.
Okay, cool.
Even if that was the right decision, bro. Even if that was the right decision, right? You got a fucking billy club. You got a fucking taser.
How am a billy clubber?
Exactly.
She's 10 feet away.
She ran to the other girl. She started off attacking someone else. You watched her do that.
Again, let me ask you. Have you ever been in the middle of a fucking melee?
I've been in the middle of a bunch of them.
Where there are people fighting all the fuck around you, right? It is hard enough to figure out what to do when you're in it. It's hard enough to figure out who to fucking hit when you're fucking in it, let alone to be the only person there trying to break it up.
And with that being said, I've had no training in my motherfucking life in making it through melees. And I've been through several of them, and guess what? I'm here and healthy. I'm here and healthy.
A real melee? That ain't even a real melee.
I'm here and healthy.
It was
people falling all over the place fighting. What are you talking about?
It was 2 people, 3 people.
There were not 2 or 3 people. She called because 4 people were trying to beat her up. There's at least 5 people in this.
When he arrived, I want to play the video.
Right. So play the video.
I don't want to see
Like
that.
we can.
Y'all do y'all thing. I'm not watching that shit.
Are you hooked up to the thing? We can make it about whatever we want, and we can say Herb you this and Herb you that. That's perfectly fucking fine. I don't really care, right? I done been on front lines of this shit. Like I don't feel less pro-black. I know that I'm with the shit on this. Like I know that 100%. But I'm also not so fucking with the shit that I'm just gonna be like every single thing that nah. Like what the fuck? Like that girl was about to stab another girl.
I think therein lies another difference.
He stopped her.
Therein lies another difference, though, right? And I think that's key to the conversation.
He don't know who fucking called.
It's key to the conversation, though. You just said, but I'm not with all the shit.
I'm not with what?
You just said you just said in your statement, I'm not with all the shit. It's like everything's not.
I said I am with the shit. I said I'm not because I'm with the shit. I'm not gonna ignore. I'm not gonna act like I don't see what I saw.
That's all I'm saying. Did you not in your mind? She was out of order.
She was about to stab that girl.
Again, man, I'm just trying to make a statement, though, bro.
All right, cool.
So I think therein lies the difference, right? Dylan Roof did kill motherfuckers.
He did.
You understand me? He did. And again, back to extermination of the brutes. That is the trajectory. It is the expectation, and it is acceptable. It wasn't he was about to. He did. And still walked out of there healthy. Not only healthy, he walked out of there getting fucking catered to.
He did.
Right? And it don't stop at Dylan Roof. We can go down the line.
He did.
We can go down the line. And what I'm saying is that happens because that's their history, and that is the standard in which they live by. And it is the standard in which we've been raised within. So when we can say it wouldn't happen to no white women because they ain't with the shit. They ain't with no harm coming to they people at no level. This is our team, and at all costs, we're going to keep our knees on your motherfucking necks. And you suffer those consequences. You decide how you deal with the consequences. What I'm saying is, when the fuck are we going to get tired of dealing with the consequences? When the fuck are we going to become the motherfucking predator instead of the prey?
I'm with that.
That's the difference, right?
I'm with that.
It ain't how much of a predator you are. It's really just about how fucking weak you are. That's the only conversation. Because you always dealing in the subservient portion of the conversation. We're always dealing in the negative portion of the conversation. You don't hear no motherfucking some random person that went to the white neighborhood and shot up all these white folks. You don't even hear them. That shit don't never happen. You just saw a little 12-year-old boy shot up 12 other little boys. I bet you ain't a white person in that room. So you got the gall to go shoot 12 people, but you ain't gonna do that shit on this side of the tracks. You ain't gonna do this shit on this side of the street. You ain't gonna do that shit in this kind of a school. You won't even drop trash in their fucking neighborhood.
Agreed.
Because you have accepted the fucking subservient, subculture, sub-behavior that they have told you are. Motherfucker, I'm God. I ain't on none of that. I ain't on none of that. But we've dimmed our light so far that the motherfucker's blinkering off, and we keep trying to justify it being off. You got to turn that motherfucker on and realize you God.
I agree.
And the conversations that we're having, I don't care if we watch every video. Darren, Cassie said this shit, and she was so right. White folks got knowledge of self, man. They fully aware who the fuck they are, and they stand in it. And we in here mimicking their ass because we don't know who the fuck we are. And we only mimicking them from the vantage point of how they say we have value. So we start to question all our shit. Is it justified? Is it not justified? Why these niggas standing on the corner? We praise DMX. But the drug dealers in our neighborhood, we treat like shit. Every behavior that we have is associated with is in alignment with white supremacists thought of us. This is what you supposed to fucking be. And we keep navigating or negotiating or even intellectualizing and theorizing from the standpoint of subservience. We got to get beyond that standpoint, right? Let's say it's layered cake, right? Let's say the top of the cake is the gold.
Sure.
We keep having arguments about the fucking bottom as if the top don't fucking exist. When we got all the skill sets, all the motherfucking energy, all the behaviors that could get us to the top. But we didn't cut that part off as it's not even imaginable. It's not even fathomable. It's just how can we make the bottom comfortable? And I'm sick of that fucking conversation. I'm sick of it, bro. And it's to a point where it's making me nervous. It's making me nervous about my own fucking thought process. Cause I feel above that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
I feel above that.
Me too.
And whatever cost to explore why I feel above that, I'm starting not to give a fuck either. I could feel the little drillers when they say, I ain't crying about mine, niggas, I'm sliding. It makes so much, it's rational to me. It's rational, right? And I'm gonna be a buck with you. George Floyd ain't one of mine outside of the context that he's black. But I don't know him. I don't have no relationship with him. So the emotional connection ain't necessarily the same. But if 75 motherfuckers got killed just that 1 week, 2 week trial, and we know the numbers and we know the truth, that shit ain't far from my front door. And I love black people. I do. But my family, that's a different level of connectivity.
Sure.
And I know that they ain't safe from none of that shit. And any harm, whether it be a dysfunctional little boy that's coming up under the same veil of white supremacy and don't know what the fuck he's doing and he harms one of mine, or whether it be a police officer and operating that same engine, he harms one of mine, I know what I'm going to do. It ain't even no question in my mind. That'll be the last breath I take. And until we move in that energy, as a collective, we going to keep arguing the bottom. That's how they moving, G. They moving that energy. Go watch Exterminate the Bruce. I know we don't read a lot, y'all. I ain't trying to be an asshole. But just go watch the shit. Because that is it. Man, them motherfuckers would go place and the people would bow the fuck down. And they would say, well, damn, I came here to kill some motherfuckers. Because that's what they want to do. That's the only way this shit works in perpetuity. That you accept for. Don't do that is you recognize me as God. And how do you recognize me as God? Because I can take life from you. And the system ain't never changed since the motherfucking inception. Taking life becomes the standard. Them motherfuckers who crashed them planes into them buildings, they won because they wasn't afraid to die. That's it. That's it. They ain't had no superior weaponry. All this bullshit ass coward ass conversations we always had. We can't beat the white man. Them 19, 16, 14, however many motherfuckers flew them planes in them buildings. Guess what? They changed the world too.
You know that's cap, but okay.
No, it's not cap. They changed the fucking world. You go to the airport today and still got to deal with the replications of what happened then.
You know that them buildings didn't fall because the motherfucker flew a plane into it.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck. But the story still resonates. You can't beat a motherfucker that's accepted, I'm going to die. You can't beat him. I don't care what you're doing.
Agreed.
You can't beat him.
Agreed.
And I'm tired of negotiating from a coward perspective. And every time I look up, it's some coward perspective shit being talked about.
Agreed. I mean, I don't know. I certainly disagree that I said anything cowardly.
I didn't call you a coward.
I didn't say
I'm
you
having
did.
the context of the conversation in totality. And then I ain't even just talking about this conversation. I'm talking about the conversations that have resonated since that fucking verdict came down. I'm talking about the fucking jubilation. I'm talking about the fucking memes of we changed the world in the same breath as another young girl suffering the same fate. As the same breath as another young boy 3 days before this suffering the same fate. And we got a whole succession of fucking memes saying, we changed the world. What world are you in? I'm sick of this shit, bro.
I agree with every single thing you just said. I agree with every single thing that you just said in totality, 100%. I don't understand where I don't understand where it intersects with what I just said about the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting. I don't understand how it intersects.
It intersects because in your mind, it's justified. That's exactly where it intersects.
Okay.
I don't see where the confusion is.
So for you saying that me, right? And this is me. I sit here next to you and say the same fucking shit all the time. I'm always saying fuck the police. I'm always saying send this bitch up. I'm always saying burn this bitch down. I'm completely with the shit, right? No doubt in my mind how I respond to this kind of shit. But that doesn't affect my common sense of when I see something happen. Now, if you are just saying that, hey, Herb, you need to be so loyal to our team that none of this shit is cool. Fine, and I'm not saying it's cool, G. I'm not. There's nothing in my body is happy that young sister is dead. Nothing.
And no,
But I also am not gonna say that her being killed by police is the same as George Floyd being killed by police. It's not the same thing. That girl was about to stab somebody, G. Period. George Floyd was handcuffed on the ground, in custody, and you choked him to death in the middle of the street. That's not the same fucking thing. Now, if y'all's like, hey, don't say nothing bad about the team, cool, because I understand that I grew up that way too, right? We figure this shit out when we get back home. We don't gotta have this conversation in public. If I'm out of pocket for there, cool, I'll accept that. But this idea that really wasn't what I said it was, fucking was. It was.
So one, and this is in context of the conversation we was having Friday too. I'm not sensitive by no stretch of the imagination. Friday, it was full of y'all talking shit about me. All of y'all was on one team, I was on the other team. Yeah, it was. It's cool. I'm not tripping. And I'm saying this on purpose for a reason. Because I ain't sensitive about none of this shit. Right? I'm not. I'm not sensitive about it. Because for me, the goal is to get a resolution. It's not personal to me or you or you. It's not personal to me. So I know we're here. People are emotional. I know that. And I know I got the tendency to say shit and you take it as personal to you. But every time we turn this mic on, I ain't talking to you or you. We're talking to whoever the fuck is tuned in. And the idea is what's important, not attacking you or you. And that's not what this is.
I don't feel attacked.
And it's not what this is. And be clear, I love both of y'all, and I never change that. So, but the context of the conversation is, yeah, man, this our team, period. Ain't nothing. That's the rules. Ain't nothing justified.
Okay.
Because that's the rules they play by. And that's what I think we have to learn.
Okay, cool.
That's what we got to learn.
I can get
it
behind
is,
that.
It is only one rule.
I can get behind that, bro.
It's only one rule.
I can get behind
And
that.
the one rule that they have continually lived by, which is why I mean that we are arguing at the bottom of the cake. That one rule is victory at all costs. It ain't no other justification. It's victory at all costs.
I can,
Right?
I can get with that.
Toussaint Louverture, who I'm named after. Right? And I don't even say that shit proudly in a lot of instances. Toussaint Desalegn.
Mm-hmm.
Partners. Right? Toussaint gets all the credit. Desalegn was the motherfucking warrior, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Right? So Toussaint led the only Western Hemisphere successful slave revolt in history. But Toussaint was very much like Barack Obama. Hey, man, I really ain't here to just demolish you motherfuckers. Once we get some power and y'all understand that we are capable people, everybody's welcome. Let's fix this shit. Desalegn said, man, kill all them motherfuckers. Kill them. Because ain't no negotiating with terrorists. Toussaint was like, nah, we smarter than that. We bigger than that. We could do better. Which is the human shit to do, right? It's the humane thing to do, and I don't disagree with Toussaint. From his God energy, he's right with that. But we ain't operating in that space.
Right.
We ain't in that space.
Heard you.
So you got to understand the board that you playing on. And the board that we playing on says this motherfucker is not to be negotiated with. And we keep trying to negotiate. And we ain't even, Toussaint was negotiating from a position of power.
Yeah, I have no desire to negotiate. Like, I don't have no power to negotiate. And so if you're saying now that your point is we always with the team regardless and nobody can do shit to the team, cool, I'm with that. I grew up fully understanding that, right? I'm with that in totality, right? But when I get back to talk to my people, I'm still gonna be like, bro, you was fucking tweaking. Like you were fucking tweaking in that shit. You could have got us fucked up. This could have went left. This could have went happen. This did happen because you were fucking tweaking, right? I ain't finna go to nobody. I ain't finna, you know what I'm saying? And so if that's what you're saying, like, hey, don't ever speak otherwise, cool.
I don't think it's just don't ever speak though, bro. And
I mean speak otherwise, like against if you feel like what I said was against the cause of the collective. I can take that and I can respond differently to that piece.
Though, G.
But if y'all literally want me to believe that
I think there's a difference though.
I expect the cop to behave differently than that cop behaved in that particular situation, I'm not going to say that because I don't believe that. It's not true. It's not true.
I think there's still a difference though, Herb. It's less about not speaking and more about not believing. And I think context
I do
matters.
believe that.
And
I do believe that. I do believe that she was behaving in a way that got her shot. I believe that.
I believe she was behaving in a way to protect herself because 4 motherfuckers had approached her house threatening her. I think that. I think she's
it's
a young
the
girl.
expectations of a
I
cop.
think she's
That's
a young
what's
girl,
the
right?
part
Yeah,
that's
and I'm afraid of
killing
4
me.
motherfuckers
Her
trying to
first
stump me
mistake
out.
was calling the police. If you were that fucking scared, you call these motherfuckers.
Her first mistake was calling the police to defend herself as 4 motherfuckers approached her house in whatever manner they did.
Okay, then look, if either one or two things, go out there and deal with that shit, or call the police and stay in the fucking house. If you're gonna go deal with it, go deal with it. I'm not gonna call the police and then run out there with my knife.
So-
that doesn't make sense.
So there's also men standing in that picture.
Yeah, they all fucked up. We got to break, bro. We got to break because we got our black business feature. He's on the line. And I don't have him for very long. So let's take a really, really quick break around. We come back. We'll do our black business feature. 2, you and I'll hop back into this conversation on the other side of this. This is I Say What I Said. Herb and 2 till 3. We'll be right back.
WIIFTBPM.
WIIFTBP. Media's just for you and me. WIIFTBP. Media's just for you and me.
If you didn't catch the last page in the Book of Dawn,
Here's what you missed.
So you found that, but you also, during those times, made a conscious decision to create a base for yourself outside of the Isleys or the great artists that you tour with. And from that, the Mo Fitz Project was born. Can you tell us how and why you did the Mo Fitz Project?
Let me tell you something. I had been touring since I was 17. And what happened was Eve, your girl Eve, was doing different events around town. And I remember it was right on 47th Street.
Yeah, I think it was Blue 47.
Yeah, one of those spots. So Eve was doing something with them. So they were like, we're hiring bands. I was like, I'm going to put something together and go play, play locally. Let me do that. And through that situation from Eve, the Mo Fitz Project was birthed. I was like, oh, okay, this would be great to actually come home and put quality guys together and make music locally outside of the touring. I just found another joy in it. And crazy, remember Terrence Kane came up with the Mo Fitz.
Oh, did T. Kane? Yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Terrence was like, you need to call it the Mo Fitz, Reefy. Mo Fitz. Use your name. This is how that name came about. It was Terrence Kane and my girl Eve Bridgeworth. She was the launching pad for that. And then she would hire me to do different events. And she started hiring me to do weddings and stuff she was doing. And then it just kind of birthed into that.
Don't forget to tune in weekdays, 9 a.m. to the Book of Dawn from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. Roll Tide, y'all.
All day. Oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh. Check it out. See, while you was on the corner trying to scrape up pack money, I was driving 80 stack trucks off rap money. I'm back money. If you want it, come to the hundreds and ask for me. Meet them OGs that'll blast for me. I'm right here. Ill Adidas, $400 jeans on me. Itchy with no safety, a loaded magazine on me. Southside, that's as wild as it gets. And no, I never sold crack. That's some house nigga shit. I'm not judging, but every man that's a man gotta stand by his principles, and I'm not budging. That's Mickey. You can take it how you want, but you can never be me. You can fake it how you want. I spit that uncut raw. You can bake it how you want. Break it down any way you like. You get the same result. Get in tune. The elephant in the room has now assumed pole position. Whoa, whoa. Oh. BJ, get him. Come on.
Reporting live from the gutter where that butter get gorillas jobs. That's why we call it work. The same work who get a nigga robbed. I throw my dice against the concrete. If the bitches pass, see you later. Grab my paper, tell a theta, kiss my ass. This the jungle, baby, I'm a lion. Try me, I'll be firing. The same banger, save Private Ryan. You the prey, you survive and hide. Better pray that them vultures and them rovers don't go flying by 'em.
Welcome back, family. We are live from inside the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios alongside Toussaint Werner. My name is Howard. This is I Said What I Said. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. We greatly, greatly appreciate each and every one of you all for being here. As always, your opinion is valued. It is certainly appreciated. Continue to add your perspective and your input to this conversation. We value it. Want to move into our Black business feature of the week. Muse Coffee Studio is located on the west side. I almost said the south side just because by nature I just like to say south side. But it is on the west side of Chicago. It's a brand new spot. You got to check it out. And we're absolutely thrilled to be joined by the owner of Muse Coffee Studio, George. Gio, what's happening, brother?
What's going on, family?
Ain't nothing to it, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I know I don't have you for long. I know I told you I would get you in right at the top of the hour because you was like, yo, I got to be gone by this time. So let's just hop into it, man. Tell us about Muse Coffee Studio. Why'd you want to start it? Where is it?
First of all, thank y'all for having me on. I really was digging that conversation y'all was getting into. You know what I'm saying? That's been jumping off in the group chat all day too. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot to unpack with that. But Muse Coffee Studio, it's 747 Southwestern Avenue. In the near west side, Tri-Taylor area, but west side just to keep it simple. And the whole thing behind Muse just really centered around cultural expression. We wanted to kind of create a canvas where everybody could kind of bring their colors to the table, and we put something together, really representing the community, and build, you know what I'm saying, together, because that's really where most of the strength and power come when everybody, collectively comes together. You put your color with my color with his color, and next thing you know, we got a work of art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and I see y'all literally doing that, on a regular basis. When you talk about the collaborative efforts that you all put together, bringing different artists in there, musicians in there, and y'all create this black vibe. The artwork is black, the energy is black, everything about it is really, really black, but it's welcoming, and it's a lot of love in there, and it's obvious, right? It's not only obvious in the energy and the ambiance of the space, but it's apparent in the products and the serving and the way all of that kind of transpires on your experience in there. I'm often, trying to say, like, we need to be able to support our own. So, like, we got to stop going to Starbucks. We got to stop going to Dunkin' Donuts. We got to start going to, South Shore Brew or Sip and Savor or Muse Coffee Studio. And so I just, like, if I'm going to talk that shit, I feel like I need to at least make sure that all the ones I know about, I at least tell the people about, because the pushback is usually like, well, it ain't enough of them. Where the fuck are they? You know what I mean?
Right. That's true. And it's a lot out here, you know what I'm saying? Overflow, everybody's busy, and Pilsen, Atmos, which is, I think, in the Humboldt Park area. So it's a community that's growing for sure.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's a lot. It's a lot of brothers opening up coffee shops, man. I'm wondering, like, why is that? Is that industry like huge like that?
I don't know. I think it's kind of like the breweries. You know what I'm saying? Once you kind of get into it, there's so many nuances and so many different avenues that you can kind of explore and discover. I think for me, it was less about the coffee and more about the coffee shop experience. Because when I first got into coffee, it really was through coffee shops, and not necessarily, having a palate that I just was like, I love coffee. You know what I'm saying? It really was me going to the different coffee shops and being deliberate about every time I would be out of town, seeing what the coffee shops were like. And for me personally, as I started to do that, and you see everyone has its own personality, tells its own little story. And that's the part I was most kind of attracted to. Mm-hmm. And so when I had the opportunity to really kind of sit down, focus, and put down a blueprint for our space, I wanted to really be deliberate about how to tell, this story.
So what story is Muse telling?
This is the story about inspiration. I'm a writer, you know what I'm saying? And just from a creative perspective, I love to see what inspires people. How you got to that finished product, because that's really, like, that's the most interesting part to me, regardless of how dope the end product is. Like, the whole process of ideating and putting stuff to paper, collaborating with whoever you collaborate with, like, that's the spiciness right there. And so Muse, for what we want to do, is really just about come take in some of the stuff that inspires us, whether it's the photography, the art, the literature, the books that we put on display, all books that we've read, stuff that we get into, the stuff that we, present to people, the collaborations we have. These are all things that inspire us, not only to do what we do, but to really, move how we move. And from that conversation, really learn about what's inspiring other people.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's an intersection in there where, you know what I'm saying, we could spark something, collaborate, or just, build, continue to build, I should say, and inspiring other people. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it takes. No, you good.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I get to see you move that way in other spaces. You and I actually linked up in another community that that Jay Illa and Joe College created, right? And so you and I both being members of that community, and then we linked up, and then we became, communal and and linked up that way. And it's like it just continues to evolve that way. And so you get down on the turntables too, by the way. And I can remember
I appreciate that.
seeing how you kind of you play your music, but you also, like, while you playing your music, it's like, yeah, I'm playing music, but I'm also being a dad. Specifically, I remember one time you were spinning, and one of your, like, smaller kids was, like, off in the corner. I don't remember exactly what was going on, but they were trying to get something off of a high place, and they had, like, climbed themselves up there, and you looked over at the last minute, right before they was about to clearly flip themselves right off the thing, run over there and caught them in the air, like, oh, shit. I'm like, man, tragedy averted right there, because the baby was definitely in the back about to flip. They had climbed up on and tried to get whatever they was trying to get, but you just kind of you kind of embody that kind of spirit of not only getting to, you know, doing the business and all that, but doing it intentionally and creating this sense of community and this sense of family. You always posting pictures from inside your studio, but you're very, very intentional about what it is that you're wearing when those things. You're always promoting another black business when you're posting those pictures. So you always got on a black T-shirt or a black hoodie or a black hat, and you actually promote those places and say, "This is, I got this from here. I got this from here. Go shop with them." Right? That type of unity and connectivity that is going to give us a chance to advance ourselves and change our circumstance.
Absolutely. I think right now, connection is currency. And, you know, social media has allowed a lot of people to have platforms. And if you have that platform and you're blessed enough to, you know, have eyes and people come to that platform, it's critical what you choose to do with it. And everything don't have to always be super serious or super, you know, business. We supposed to be here to have fun, especially with how crazy everything is right now. But at some point, you still have to, you know, use it responsibly. You know what I'm saying? If you have the opportunity to curate or introduce your platform to people who you believe in, I think you have to do it. You know what I'm saying? And so I do try to be very intentional about how to really share this platform with the people who I support and I think deserve that support. So,
well, man, I appreciate you, and I certainly want to do anything I can to support you and Muse Coffee Studio. Again, it's at 747 Southwestern. Gio, if somebody walks in there, what should they get?
oh man, right now the lavender latte is what's the move, but I'm digging. I put together a taffy apple latte.
Oh wow,
that was one of my favorite treats growing up as a shorty. So
that sounds fire.
Yeah, come through, bro.
Indeed, man.
Definitely gonna come through, brother. So I've been off the coffee for a minute, man. What would you suggest? You all got teas too?
I got tea, and I could put a mean hot chocolate together too for you, bro.
I appreciate it, brother. I'm gonna try to stick to the tea.
Unfortunately, here in the end of April, we still need hot chocolate around this joint. It's ridiculous. Snowing out here yesterday. Crazy, man.
Word, that's crazy.
Yo, George Davis, brother, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you got to run. I appreciate you, man. You welcome back. You got to come back sometime soon, not only to talk about Muse Coffee Studio, but to chop it up about
get the audience your. I'm sorry, Herb. Get the audience your albums though. We getting comments all through the comment section. They want to see your address again.
Yeah, tell them social media, all of that.
It's 747 Southwestern Avenue. Monday through Friday, we open 7 to 2. Saturday 9 to 4, and then Sunday 9 to 2.
Black business is open on Studio.
Sunday. Yeah. My wife was like, "Hey, if it's dollars to get out there, you got to get it."
That's real.
I said, "Yes, ma'am."
Social media.
Instagram is Muse Coffee Studio, and then Facebook, same thing.
Hey, all love, brother. Appreciate you so much for taking the time. Y'all make sure y'all get over to Muse Coffee Studio, 747 Southwestern Avenue, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can get in there, get your coffee, get your pastries, get your teas if you like to, or your hot chocolate. But certainly go over there and support, enjoy the ambiance, enjoy the staff, enjoy the service. Gio, I'll talk to you soon, my brother.
Peace. Appreciate y'all, man. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing. That's a blessing.
Indeed, we certainly will, man. Appreciate you.
All right.
Yes, sir. That is George Davis. He is the owner of Muse Coffee Studio. Happy to chop it up with him, man. So make sure South Side, West Side, you go over that way, stop in there, support the business. They are not only they got dope products and a dope ambiance, but they are really, really good people that are doing a lot of dope stuff, not only for themselves, but for the collective as well.
Yeah, that's super dope, man. We're going to have to start hollering at these people about buying ad space on the Pod 1 to 3 hour.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're trying to build something over here too.
For sure.
Collectively, we all work together. We can build something.
Mandatory. I don't want to take a break. Usually, I would be like, let's take a break and transition back into this thing. I don't want to take a break. So let's just kind of pick up where we left off. But also, I want to touch on the shooting of the 7-year-old girl. Her name is escaping my mind. Do you know her name?
I'm sorry, I don't know it.
Okay, I'm sorry too. The 7-year-old who was killed in the drive-thru at McDonald's while she was riding in the car with her father. Absolute fucking foolishness, G. Absolute fucking foolishness. And I know when it first happened and I mentioned it, I'm like, yo, if you're going to be in the streets like that, you cannot ride around with your kids. If you know that it's niggas out here that want to kill you, you know that. You can't be having your motherfucking kids out here. Like, that's just not you don't have that luxury anymore.
Jocelyn Adams.
Okay, Jocelyn Adams. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate you. You don't have that fucking luxury no more. You cannot do that. I sent you a video of FBG Duck, the rapper from 63rd, who got killed down on the Gold Coast last year. He had a video out where he was talking to Zach TV, actually, who was also a victim of gun violence in this city of Chicago, and Zach was doing all kind of dope shit. But Duck had an interview on Zach's show, and he was like, man, he's like, I don't ride around my kids no more because I know niggas want to kill me. And I'm like, I know they so stupid they don't give a fuck. He's like, me personally, if I catch one of my ops, he like, I see him out there and he with a shorty, he's like, I'm gonna give him a pass. He's like, it's happened before. Like I done caught him slipping and I didn't have man on me and I could have did him right there. He was like, but if your shorties is with you, I'm gonna give you a pass because that's just what you should do. He was like, but I know these niggas stupid. They're not gonna give me that same. They're not gonna give my child that same respect or courtesy. And he's like, so I don't ride around my kids, G. I just like you a grown ass man. You made whatever choices you didn't chose to make, and I'm not knocking you for none of them. However, once you done made those, you got to understand those, and you got to fucking move differently. You do not get to ride around with your fucking 7-year-old in the car no more. You just don't. It happened. The same thing happened on fucking what's the straw I be fucking watching? Snowfall. They got the little girl in the car while y'all in the middle of a whole fucking street war. They shoot the car, the baby get killed. You can't fucking do that kind of shit, man. That's my personal opinion, right? You don't get to take your baby to McDonald's in the hood no more. You can take your baby way out some fucking where, but in the hood, nah. Niggas want to kill you here, fam, and they don't give a fuck. I don't think you get to do that. How you feel about that?
Perplexed, at best.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think the sickness is so overwhelming that it almost looks like we're choosing these behaviors instead of being pushed into these behaviors. And the reality of it is, man, I hear you. But I also know you don't have the option to not do nothing. You know what I mean? FBG Duck. At the time when that interview happened, or at the time when he's even getting interviewed, he might have had the option. You know, XYZ millions of followers on YouTube would create some level of capital for you to have a conversation where you could not ride around with your kids. You know what I mean? Because you can pay for somebody to take them where they got to go, or you can have another car, or you can have access, or whatever the fuck. Whoever this little dude is, and I'm not justifying none of this shit at all. But we don't have it like that. We don't have the option of not, right? Black fathers are more active in their child's life than any other fathers, and that's not because of that's how we just bred that way. It's because of necessity. It's just that's fucking simple. You know what I mean? I remember going to fucking meetings with public officials when my son was in the car seat and taking shits in their office. It wasn't my choice. I just didn't have any other options. You know what I mean? So to think this young dude who doing whatever he do got different options than me is foolish. You don't have that option, right? Now I get it. You've made a conscious choice. Now I've seen some videos of Shorty outside of here too. Fully insane, right? But I think we operating in a space of insanity. So I think everybody in that environment is insane. So it's normalized in that environment, right? But I don't want to make the argument that because you in the streets, you can't be doing this kind of shit. I would much rather make an argument that says, why the fuck we living like this? Why the fuck we hate each other so much? Okay. Why can't we start from that part of the conversation? You know what I mean? Because like, again, for me at this moment, it's like we keep having this conversation, right? Sure. And I know you ain't got no fucking options. I know you'll risk your life because you feel left out of said system. You don't have no hope.
Sure.
So you'll go shit on and piss on and shoot at whomever.
Sure.
Right? Because your only value asset becomes, what can I take from somebody at this point? And we never question the other part of the conversation. I'm not saying we never do, but in this moment, I want to be a proponent of real fucking health, not navigating the illness.
I agree with you, bro. But like, and I'm always talking about the root cause. I'm very, very clear on what the root cause is, right? And I'm always talking about not treating the symptoms. But while we are in it, we have to do things to mitigate risk to our fucking children. Like if you caught up in the shit, and I'm not judging or condemning him for being caught up in the streets. I know everything about this fucking system pushes him to make that very choice. But once you've made it, once you have made that choice for whatever reason, you then have to move differently in a way that doesn't leave your innocent 7-year-old daughter vulnerable to decisions that you've made. That's all I'm saying, G. You can't do that. Nah, you can't take her to McDonald's around the corner. You cannot do that. If you really caught up in the streets like that, you really know that for whatever reason, whatever you done, whatever niggas done to you and y'all done back and forth, it's niggas that want to kill you. You can't, in your own fucking car, just go around the corner and take your kid to McDonald's. No, you cannot do that. The climate dictates that you not behave that way. Is it fucked up? Yeah. Do we need to fix it? Yeah. But while we're fixing it, to act like the possibility doesn't exist for your car to get shot up in the middle of the hood is negligent at best.
Yeah, I hear you. And it's not that I'm disagreeing with you, but I'm saying the climate dictates it all. It dictates the energy for you even being there. The climate dictates it all, right? It just dictates it all.
Agree, my G.
Right? So, and when I mean it all, I mean it all. The climate dictated that Eric was going to be on my fucking shoulder for the first 3 years of his life. That wasn't a plan. Mm-hmm. The climate dictated it, right? And this is me with a college degree, and this is me with a skill set, and this is me with some fucking family backing. That's what the climate dictated for me, right? Mm-hmm. That's what the climate dictated. So I don't know Shorty. I don't know Shorty's life. I don't have no understanding of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I can almost guarantee you that my climate was probably a more progressive climate than the one he's coming from. So I could just imagine what the climate dictated. Mm-hmm. Right? And to have the assumption that I can opt out anywhere. You can't. You can't opt out anywhere. Mm-hmm. So the vigilance in which you navigate the streets with, because you got to do that shit to survive, it's the same vigilance you got to navigate the home with to survive too. And I know that firsthand. So I'm not justifying or making right with, but again, it's so fucking insane. There's no answer. There's no answer until we address the fucking root cause of the problem. Because if you a father in the black community, that's why the numbers are what they are. Right? They talk about the fact that how many kids are born out of wedlock. And that might be true. But when you start thinking about active engagement in children's lives, fathers is there. You know why? Because the climate is dictating, because it's they women's just going to work. Mm-hmm. It's they women's just taking care of their bum asses. Mm-hmm. All because we're not standing in the light of our proper polarity. Not saying that you ain't shit, but the system dictates that you not be shit.
Agreed.
Right? So even if you are shit, have dreams and all that other stuff, until you address how this system is damaging you, you're going to be there. And you can't opt out nowhere. You can't opt out of taking your baby to McDonald's. You can't opt out because you're going to opt out of feeding your baby, or you're going to opt out of getting out that house because it's your woman, his ass is at work and not you. It's fucked up, right? But it's like, how do you opt out? I mean, I fully grasp what you're saying. Fully understand it, right? But what I'm saying is we're only questioning one side of that spectrum. Shorty got a life here. Mm-hmm. In the streets. Mm-hmm. But Shorty got a life here too. Mm-hmm. And we know what the streets are in our city. Mm-hmm. It ain't like motherfuckers are surviving off the streets. Mm-hmm. Let's keep it a buck. Mm-hmm. They not. You know every dope fiend in your neighborhood. And if you know every one of them,
crack ain't moving like that.
You ain't surviving, my nigga.
Nah, it's called.
Right? Weed is legalized. You're fucked. Mm-hmm. You fucked. Mm-hmm. So your surviving is laying pipe to your baby mama and keeping shit cool at the crib. That's really your survival. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in order to keep shit cool at the crib, you got to take care of that baby. Agreed. So maybe your ass need to learn how to cook burgers.
Do something.
Whatever you got to do, I get it. But the truth is you got to get away from that element. That's the truth. And the only way you're going to get away from that element is finding your motherfucking masculinity. And the only way you're going to find your masculinity in an oppressive system is not be oppressed anymore.
Heard you. And we both 100% agree on what the root cause is. We understand that it's white supremacy. We say all the time, there's not an ill in our community that would not be eradicated with the ending of white supremacy.
That's real, man.
Like I understand that 100%.
Man, one thing for certain, G, this last week has taught me a lot of shit.
Such as,
when the Hispanic community lost a young boy the other day, and I don't have no feelings for that. I'm gonna be real with you, right? Maybe that's just I'm an asshole. I don't know, right? But I've gotten on phone calls with several different people who don't necessarily know we have this podcast. So they don't necessarily know my true feelings about certain shit. But they kept mentioning Shorty's name in context to Derek Chauvin's case. Okay, I'm not here for that.
To you, right?
Yeah, I'm not here for that, but I let it slide. It slide right back because I'm here for a different conversation.
Right.
I'm not here for that.
Right.
It is what it is. But it was just very interesting to me how many times I heard this in the last week about Adam Toledo in context to George Floyd from black people. Heard it a lot. Let it slide, whatever. It was also very interesting to me.
Not the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. But it was also very interesting to me that the Hispanic community, over the Adam Toledo case, had a peace summit with the mayor of the city of Chicago. A peace summit where every pillar of their community was represented, even the gangs.
Right. And it came from that part. You got to be threatening first.
And even outside of that, there was another conversation in that peace summit where their mayor asked some of the elected officials to denounce the gangs. And they refused.
Yeah.
And they refused. And for me, it was eye-opening in the sense of that's a full understanding of identity.
That's all it is.
That's it. We don't have to align with y'all's philosophy of what's right and wrong.
This is us.
Right?
Over here.
You all's criminal element is what created this goddamn country.
Right.
Right? Our criminal element is it makes it
it's going to protect our piece, our little piece of it.
Capable to survive within your shit.
We're going to protect our little piece of it.
We throwing our criminal element under the goddamn bus. We leverage, again, back to us operating within the same white supremacy system.
Yeah.
We pimp our criminal element and profit off of it just like them.
Yeah, and that's bullshit.
That's why Tamika Mallory got Cadillac truck deals.
Yeah, and that's bullshit.
That's why the lawyer boy, the bald head man, is on every fucking show.
Yeah.
Right?
It's bullshit.
We're poverty pimping too.
Yes. It's complete bullshit. It ain't no time for motherfucking, to be shunning or frowning upon or looking down upon our criminal element either, right? Because first of all, who dictates crime? We had to hold our breath for 11 months for everybody to find out that a motherfucker who was clearly guilty is actually fucking guilty, or 13 months to find out if a motherfucker that was clearly guilty is actually guilty, right? Because we know that they dictate what is and what is not criminal behavior. And so, we shouldn't fucking subscribe to that shit. But what we also must do is make sure that our criminal element is organized in a way to respond to certain kind of shit. Like it can't just be because be clear, motherfucking the Latin Kings and the SDs and all, they shoot each other fucking too all day fucking long, right? But in terms of the communal aspect, this is our shit, fam. This is our shit, and so it don't matter if it's the police. We gonna be threatening to them. It don't matter if it's black people want to come over here and uprise and loot, if you will, in our communities. No, we're not having that either. We're gonna protect all of that shit too because it's fucking ours. We don't really have that sense of identity, nor do we have that sense of ownership over our occupied territory. And until we get that, I don't know how we gonna find ourselves in a position to respond differently to it. We don't even feel that. We don't feel that way about each other. We don't even, you know what I'm saying?
But therein lies the problem.
That is the problem.
Right? We don't. We feel that way about the blocks that we live on, or we feel that way about the flag that we represent, or we feel that way about whatever identity we've aligned ourselves with. And this is a circular conversation. But we can't opt out of this American system because we've allowed this American system to dictate our identity. It's defined us.
True.
It's written our narrative. The narrative of success, the narrative of relationship, the narrative of value, The narrative of everything that you believe in this country is written at the cornerstone of whiteness.
Mm-hmm.
And no one on this soil is more affected than us, other than white people. But white people have the controlling portion of the economy, so it doesn't matter.
Period.
Right?
Right.
But everybody else here is here rooted in an identity. And because we're not rooted in an identity, this is the effects of not having any identity. This is the effects. This is why I always talk about spirit. Right? This is the effects of getting away from God and making your value asset
something other than what it should be.
Something other than what it should be. Right? And it reflects at every level of our community. And until we get to the point of understanding that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, we fucked. Because we think their goals and their standards are the only goals and standards of value.
Yeah.
And we don't understand the dynamic of how we're kept away from their goals and their standards. We also don't understand that the sickness and the murderousness and the savagery of their community is rooted in creating that system of goal and standard. And even if that's what you want, then you got to approach the game from the same standpoint that they approach it from. You got to operate within the same savagery and sickness.
That's it.
Right? But in that same savagery,
only until the rabbit get the gun.
In that same savagery and sickness, you got to understand that you got a team and they got a team. And you're utilizing that same savagery and sickness on us because you're only operating from the bottom of the tier of the cake. Right? That's why we talk about Jay-Z and Jay-Z's wealth. Jay-Z's wealth is people shit out that much money at the top of the conversation. But we don't know their names. We don't even think they valuable. We don't have no context of where that money came from. Right? Because we only have our damn ceiling is their floor. It's the context of how we view the board.
Roof is the floor looking at us.
Right. It's
The
the
ceiling is
context
the roof,
of how
whatever
we
Michael
view the
Jordan
board.
said.
So Jay-Z's a god in our community because of the amount of wealth he has, and you don't even have context to how much wealth is out here. It's the Chris Rock joke. If you knew how much money these white people was really getting, you'd be revolting in the street. It's also the Chris Rock joke. I'm Chris Rock. She's Mary J. Blige. He's Jay-Z. We live next door to a fucking dentist. We don't have any context.
Or the Chris Rock
And
joke.
our whole value system is set up in relationship to that. And we don't even understand it.
No understanding of it at all. Chris Rock also talks about Bill Gates waking up with Oprah Winfrey's money and jumping out the fucking window.
Yeah, that wouldn't be shit to him.
You know what I'm saying?
It wouldn't be shit to him.
Like, but to us,
it
can't get any
ceiling.
higher.
You can't get no bigger.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's the analogy we can use for the rest of
And
this
then those people become beyond reproach. Right? Then you can't say shit bad about Oprah. Right? You can't say shit bad about her friend. Because now, even though she was way the fuck out of pocket, Snoop gotta apologize. What the fuck you apologizing to her for?
Yeah.
She was out of fucking pocket for what she said. Period. Like,
but even our values is skewed, right? So if you're gonna say your values is capital, then you should have an understanding of capital, the real understanding, like how you get to capital, because capitalism isn't a new construct. These new white folks ain't the only ones that had power and money, right? So where did this system come from? How did it emerge? What value is it in it? And you'll start to see that if you're not the kind of savage that white people have been historically, then you don't get the kind of power they have. So if that's your value set, and I'm with it, if that's it, all I'm saying is that once we decide, goddamn it, fully commit. Fully fucking commit. Once we decide, fully commit. So if that's what we at with it, okay, that's what we at with it. Now, what's it take to get there? Let's work in reverse, right? And if that's not our value set, then it's time to fucking opt out and find what it means to be spiritual beings. Period. You can't play both sides of the fence, man. It don't work that way. You can't have it both ways.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. You need to define your team and align yourself with it and move that way. All the fucking time. You know what I'm saying? But I think that I used to always be like, man, we don't have the luxury of kicking people off the team. Right? We don't have the luxury of saying these people can't go, these people can't go. Right? Whether we're talking about returning citizens or homosexuals or street niggas or whoever. Right? I don't think we have the luxury of being able to be like, they can't go. But even more so than you talk about returning citizens or street niggas or homosexuals, these motherfuckers that don't understand which side of the line they on, I don't give a fuck. I don't need them, no. I don't need them on the team. I don't even want them. I think it's more detrimental than it is beneficial at this point, right? And so again, like you were saying about the conversation.
And in that case, we got 10 players total in all our team in all of America.
Well, what did 17 motherfuckers do, right? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like, I think that's why when our conversation earlier about Ma'Khia Bryant was like, okay, it's got to be complete zero gray lights, right? Like, no, fuck that. Everything they do is wrong, and everything we do is right. Cool. Now I hear you, right? But again, when we at the crib talking to the fam, which we do every fucking day, we gotta have these tough conversations, like about real shit. Now, is that something that needs to be had in somebody's fucking courthouse or by the fucking police or something? Nah. But amongst ourselves, yeah, I'm gonna be like, man, that shit is out of fucking pocket. You tweaking. You tweaking for having your fucking daughter with you in your car when you know what kind of bullshit you on. Y'all tweaking for calling the police and then running out there with a knife. Like, all of that shit is tweak-ass behavior that is negligent at best. It's going to get somebody hit. It's going to get somebody hurt. It just is. Because we have not eradicated white supremacy yet. And until we do, while we need to move with a level of militance, we also need to move with the level of fucking intelligence too. And in using your brain, he shouldn't have had his daughter in the car, and the young sister should not have called the police and then ran out there with a knife. It's a fucking terrible recipe. This shit, it doesn't end well. And like, we got to be able to see certain shit coming. You got to be able to see certain shit and respond to it differently, right? And not really respond out of fear and shit like that, right? It was the video last week, whatever, with the young dude walking through the neighborhood, and the white army dude approached him on this tough steroid shit, right? Talking all this shit about he in the wrong neighborhood, he better get the fuck out of here, pushing him and shoving him and shit. And Shorty, for as little and scrawny as he was, is trying to stand his ground. Like, I can go with that. Even then, he's walking this way, dude, follow him that way. He walked the other way, dude, follow him that way. He's telling me to get out of here, walk away. When I walk away, you following me, right? But that Shorty in that video had way more fucking balls than some of these grown-ass men I've seen in those same situations. I've seen these videos of these grown-ass men pulling out their phones, crying, getting back in their cars, crying, getting back in their delivery trucks, crying. When this Shorty ain't put out no motherfucking phone, Shorty was standing there like, I will fight you. Now, on the surface, it looked like he would have got his ass fucked up. But he was standing there like, I will fight you, whereas these grown dudes be pulling out their phones fucking crying and shit. Like, we got to respond with the level of courage, but it has to be matched with the level of intelligence. And I've said that since jump.
Sometimes those two just don't. It's just hard to make those two coexist. Sometimes.
Agreed. I know.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, courage is the faith in some shit that's not there, and then intellect is it.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm going to risk it against some shit I have no clue how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
Right? Intellect is adverse to that. Intellect ain't going to take that gamble.
For sure.
Right?
Like I've done a whole bunch of shit that if I just thought like, hey, then I wouldn't have acted that way. But in the moment, my courage, my anger, my whatever was like, react like this. And then I reacted. And then what comes from that. And then you got to fucking deal with that part of it too.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't have the answer, brother.
Yeah, I think you do, G. No. It is about love. It is about eradicating white supremacy. It is about standing in our proper polarity. It is about saying, fuck y'all, we will send this bitch up. But when we do that, it has to be done with a level of intentionality. It can't just be a fucking free-for-all. We can't win a fucking free-for-all. We don't have the sheer numbers to win a free-for-all.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, like, real change only comes from some level of insanity.
Yeah, you got to be crazy enough to think you can change this shit.
Right, you got to be crazy enough to believe it's possible.
In the face of all evidence to the contrary, you think you can change this shit.
I'm still going to go.
Yeah, you gotta be out your motherfucking mind. But you also have to be fucking smart. You know what I'm saying? Like Fred Hampton was out his motherfucking mind to think he could change that shit. But he was smart enough and tough enough to fucking go do the shit. But he understood I gotta make certain allegiances, I gotta make certain alliances to make this effective. We can't just run out here and send it up however the fuck we want to. Nah, I gotta go talk to the GDs. I gotta go talk to the Stones. Like, we gotta do this shit in a way that is going to allow us to be as effective as possible.
But we've had this conversation about Fred Hampton and the energy of the time and the moment, and how when you was in that frequency, you can galvanize differently. We are a sicker community, right? So I don't necessarily have the answer in the sense that what do you need besides the George Floyd video to galvanize the community? I mean, what do you need? I was thinking about this shit the other day, G. I'm the only person in my house that caught COVID. Mm-hmm. Only person. Right?
Right.
And I'm fine here today.
Mm-hmm.
My wife went and got the COVID vaccine shot.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't even catch COVID.
Right.
And I'm saying, fuck that shit.
Right.
That's insane.
Right.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
Then we got into an argument about vaccinating our kids. Because what you want to do? Fuck it. I don't control you.
Right.
You ain't doing that to them babies, though. I don't give a fuck.
Right. You're not putting that shit in them.
That ain't happening.
Right.
Right? And we get into an altercation. But I got to thinking about that shit. Like, think how insane this is. I'm the only one who caught this. No one else caught this. And I'm telling you, as the one who caught this, don't fucking do it.
Right.
But the white men say, go fucking do it. Yeah. I'm going to fucking do it. And that's a representation of our community at large. That household structure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on this side. I believe in the system. I'm opposed to the system. You fucking crazy. I want to fit with the system.
Yeah. It's about how much skin you're willing to put in the game, though. At the end of the day, you can watch the George Floyd video for all 8 minutes and 46 seconds and be pissed the fuck off, right? But tomorrow, you're going to get up and you're going to go capitulate for whomever you capitulate for. Like, that's the reality. George Floyd murder ain't finna stop you from pursuing what you already been pursuing. Now, whether or not you actually going...
Okay, well, fuck it. Maybe not George Floyd's murder, right? But
Pick
maybe
one.
Martin Luther King's, or maybe the failures of your children at their schools, or the food deserts that you live in, or the motherfucking house, home racism that we experience, or the red line. And pay the fuck attention to just one entity.
No.
And tell me where you're winning. Pick an entity, nigga. Just, you can throw them shits in the air and pick up one off the ground. I don't care.
Right.
Where are we winning by the standards of said system? Not even winning. Where are we at a measurable metric of equality in this system at any level, in any kind of endeavor you can think of?
Mm-hmm.
And then tell me why you validate this system so goddamn much.
It's the only one they know.
Yeah, I can't get with it because there's options. And it's not the only one they know. Let's not even lie about that, right? We got the Nation on 79th Street. Now, you might not rock with it, but it's a pure D representation of something different. And it's a big-ass castle symbolizing who the fuck we are in the middle of the community.
Mm-hmm.
How many of us engage that? How many of us know what's going on inside that building? How many of us know what's happening past the parking lot?
That's what I just said. They don't know.
Then that's
they know it's a bunch of brothers in bow ties selling bean pies.
Then that goes back to what I said in the beginning of this.
Mm-hmm.
We're addicted to victimhood.
Mm-hmm.
Because after a while, you're not a victim no more, you're a volunteer.
Most people still think that if you ain't a Muslim, you can't go in there. Like every time I've ever talked to Mr. Jeffrey, Minister Ishmael, somebody will call or say or raise a hand in the fucking discussion and be like, yo, I'm not Muslim. Can I come? Like, yeah, you can come, fam. Like, I ain't a Christian. I go to fucking Trinity every Sunday that it's open.
Hey, Reginald, I don't know if you want some attention or something, bro, but I'm going to respond to you, right? You said the nation is corrupted. You say the nation has been corrupted. I'm going to ask you, G, is public schools corrupted?
Right.
Let's keep it above. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is the banking system corrupted?
That right.
For real. Is the food supply corrupted, Reginald? Help me fucking understand. Why we got so many judgments on our people?
Mm-hmm.
It's progressive though, I tell you that.
Is the legal system
I tell you
corrupt?
what, you put one of your kids in that nation school, they're gonna learn something different than they do in CPS.
Oh, for sure.
I tell you that. So when we start spewing this shit, the nation is corrupted. Tell me something that fucking ain't.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes their corruption more valuable?
Mm-hmm.
What makes their corruption acceptable to sit your fucking children in, to sit your house in, to sit your fucking, to eat dinner out their goddamn grocery stores?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sick of it. That's the fucking behavior I'm talking about.
Heard you.
I'm sick of that shit, man.
Yeah, Ready Rock is watching on YouTube. Ready Rock got kicked out of, she in Facebook jail for, I don't know, something that she shouldn't be in Facebook jail for, but she watching on YouTube. Yeah, bro. Like that is the sickness though.
Hey, shout out to Mighty Soulful on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I met this young brother the other day at the gas station. Random as hell, right? So random he made me nervous.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But he's a young brother. He's like 27 years old, man. And we sat at the gas station and had a conversation. He said he'd been watching the show for a while, and he was inspired by some of the stuff we said. And I want to say this publicly on air too, man. That brother was 27 years old, and just sitting there having that conversation inspired me to continue, because I don't see young brothers like him. I don't see young brothers having that conversation. I don't see young brothers invested in the community, right? And I don't know Marty from nobody, but he stopped me at the gas station and said, hey, man, he said it too. And he said it in a way like he was hesitant to say it. So I'm like, man, who the fuck is this?
You
dude?
like, yo.
You know what I mean? Because I'm operating under the same paradigm.
We are trained.
You understand?
Uh-huh.
But then he said, hey, no, I'm a fan of, and I've talked to you. And we just sat there and had a conversation. And he was like, man, I don't want to hold you up. But I wanted to say, man, I just want to stay here talking.
Right, I want to keep talking some more.
Because I was inspired by seeing a young brother that was inspired by the inspiration we trying to get.
That is where the motivation
It's
comes
such
from.
a fucking rarity.
That is where the motivation comes from. It's so fucking easy to get burnt out in this shit, G. Like, and it's just super fucking easy to get burnt out. And I'm not just talking about the show and talking. And I think that's critically important. I think that's a really, really important part of it, right? But I'm talking about all of the work. You get burnt out with this shit, man, because you start to look around like, are we making a difference here? Am I impacting anybody? Is anybody fucking listening? Is anybody fucking moving that way? Time here? Am I spinning my wheels? Could I be doing something more enjoyable than this? And that burnout happens, and then you come across a brother like that or a sister like that, and it's like, okay, this is what we're doing it for. All right. And it rejuvenates you, and it kind of relights that fire for you. They're like, okay, cool. Now I understand it, and I can push forward. And you'd be surprised with that, those small like victories, or those small moments of affirmation, small moments of just knowing, okay, this is the reason that we're doing this thing. That pushes you a long, long fucking way. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about those amongst us who are aware of the issues and actively engaged in those issues. The work is ours to do. It's you can't put it on motherfuckers that's not in the game. The work is ours to do. And once we can do that, I think that we can start to show enough victories, show enough wins to get that other group kind of engaged. And sitting in the back and saying like, hey, they need to do this, they not. They don't even fucking know. And
yeah, time is of the essence, bro.
Yeah.
And I think that we've been lullabied to sleep for a long time. So I hear what you're saying. Still, again, shout out to Monty. But you could hear that I had that conversation 20 minutes before I sat down and they read that verdict. And you hear we changed the world in the midst of...
We changed the world.
One police shooting happening in the midst of the damn verdict being read, and one happening in the middle of the trial that was both publicized. Not even counting the 75 that wasn't even publicized.
I wonder if anybody who says that we changed the world yesterday, I wonder if any of those people feel less concerned when the police are behind them today than they felt yesterday.
So I was thinking about that.
My grandma actually texted all of her grandkids and kids and told them to be extra careful just because of that.
Yeah, do anybody feel
just
less
in the
concerned?
Comments today, somebody said there's going to be repercussions and consequences to George Floyd coming home, which was an implication that the police going to act a certain kind of way. And not
Yeah, I saw somebody say the police are retaliating. I saw a message like that too.
Well, so be it.
We need to be retaliating. They are the aggressors. They ain't retaliating. They are the aggressors, right? And so, if they feel like they took their one little loss, or we feel like we got one little win,
Man, we the sum total of all that comes before us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we got to start giving some value to that. You ever talk to the people who went to Africa who got a chance to go to the slave dungeons?
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about how the emotions just overcame their ass. Like I can't even stand in here. I could feel.
I was watching a friend of mine in Ghana coming through what they call the last doors or something like that. That's the doors that the slaves came out before they right at the shores before they got on the ship and never came back. Yeah, watching that today.
And everybody who's been there, everybody at least that I've ever spoken to who's been there said, man, I could just feel this shit.
Mm-hmm.
You could feel that shit because some part of your genome was already there. Because you are the sum total of all that comes before you.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you think these white folks is any motherfucking different than you?
Nah.
Right? So every time they engage and encounter you, the sum total of all that came before them too is there.
They feel
so
that
their
as well.
engagement with you is rooted in the feeling that is some genome was a part of what got you here in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't no fucking different. And I don't care how much new technology there is. I don't care how much Real Housewives of Atlanta you're on. I don't care about how many new shoes and what cars you get to ride around and parade in the rap videos. Your existence, their existence are counter to one another.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you believe in the construct of white folks derived from black folks and
fucking oil and water, fam.
But if you believe in the construct of the white man is a derivative of the black man and he was banished away because of his albinism, if I'm a child and I was banished from my parents, then I'm going to hate them.
Burn it down just to feel its warmth.
I'm going to burn it down just to feel its warmth. And either we suffering the repercussions of our parents, and maybe that's true, but they ain't changing. They ain't changing. So we got to decide what it's going to be.
Right.
Either you're going to embrace them with the same energy or your loving energy is going to have to overcompensate for that hate.
One or the other got to happen.
You can't play it both ways. One or the other has to happen.
One or the other has to happen. I say all the time, it is not a good place to be in to have to fight a war on multiple fronts. But that is the position that we find ourselves in. And so while we need to absolutely be about the business of loving the fuck out of ourselves and giving ourselves the benefit of the doubt and trusting each other and depending on each other and cooperating with each other, we need to be just as intent on not trusting what they fucking say and matching or exceeding their aggression wherever the fuck it shows up. That is what it is. We got to be able to find that space. It starts with finding our identity. Once we have our identity, we know who our team is, and then we need to set an agenda. For now, that agenda has to be about reparations because we need that Band-Aid that you talk about all the time that will give us the opportunity to stop the bleeding long enough for us to then heal ourselves from the inside out. We got to go, man. 2, any last words, man?
Hey, man, I love us, bro.
Me too, my brother.
And I just want us to love us. And it's really that simple, right? And in love, you accept challenges. It's not this lovey-dovey, fake, false shit that they didn't create. It's about embracing the pain and going through it.
I appreciate what Nicole. Period. I appreciate what Nicole said. She said we all hurt, but we got to love on each other. And I just responded to it, like, this is love, sis. Like this is all love. I don't have any problem with everybody disagreeing with what I was saying earlier. I feel what I feel, right? I don't have no problem disagreeing about it. And I appreciate all y'all perspective, and I accept it, I receive it, and I internalize it and contemplate it. But I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And we'll be back here on Friday. Thank y'all so very, very much for tuning in. Huge shout out to George Davis from Muse Coffee Studio. Again, that's at 747 Southwestern. For Ron Rilla, for Toussaint Werner, my name is Herb Howard. You all be good to each other. Peace.
WIFTBPM.
Exclusive. Hey, I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. I pray we don't get lost in all our sorrow. I say I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. We don't know if we gon' let us see tomorrow. No. 52 wounded, 10 murdered in a weekend. Homicides on women are increasing. 12 blinking at us for no reason. Feel like we going off the deep end. They still ain't found Kierico. Reported missing about a year ago. And she was pregnant with a little one. Her family praying for a miracle. Taxi being Kanika ain't get no justice. Where the energy they have for Jussie Smollett. I done heard every theory, but where the suspects? Ain't no luck, yeah. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. I pray we don't get lost in all our sorrow. I say I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. We don't know. No. Woman found dead, baby cut out of a womb. I wish it wasn't true. Another woman shot down while her baby in her arms. Can somebody call a truce? This is genocide, honestly. We still remember Tyshawn Lee. I'm implementing new policies, trying to save the generation under me. We gotta drop the sticks and put the poles up. Your man is a weapon, you need to load up. I couldn't imagine losing one of my daughters.
Shoot, I wanna glow up. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. I pray we don't get lost in all our sorrow. I say I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago.